My phone buzzed at a wedding reception, and one text turned me into someone I didn't recognize. In nursing school, my roommate Dana and I made a pact. If either of us ever texted, "Do you still have my blue sweater?" the other would call within minutes with a fake emergency, no questions asked. The rule was simple. Only use it if you're genuinely afraid. We invoked it 4 times in 3 years. That was 11 years ago, and neither of us had needed it since. I was at my cousin's wedding, seated at a table with Dana, her boyfriend Marcus, and 6 other people, when my phone lit up under the tablecloth. Dana was 2 seats away, laughing at something Marcus said, her champagne untouched. I looked at my screen. "Do you still have my blue sweater?" From Dana. I glanced up. She wasn't looking at me. She was gazing at Marcus with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I typed back a single question mark and watched her purse for any sign she'd felt the buzz. Nothing. She never checked her phone, so I started watching everything else instead. Marcus's arm wasn't draped casually over her chair. His fingers were pressed into her shoulder hard enough that her collarbone shifted. When she reached for the bread basket, he moved it 2 inches out of her range, and she withdrew her hand like she'd touched a stove. She was wearing a long-sleeved cardigan in June, indoors, at a wedding with the AC barely working. I texted her, "Meet me by the bar in 5 minutes." I watched her phone buzz in her clutch. Her hand drifted toward it, then stopped when Marcus leaned in and murmured something against her ear. She nodded, smiling the same frozen smile. I waited by the bar for 8 minutes. She never came. When I walked back, Marcus had his hand wrapped around the back of her neck, not affectionately, his thumb pressed into the base of her skull hard enough that her shoulders had risen toward her ears. I sat down and said loudly enough for the table, "Dana, help me find my cousin for a picture." Marcus's smile didn't waver, but something flickered behind his eyes. He said Dana had a headache and they should probably head out early. I said it would take 1 minute. His voice dropped, quiet and flat. She said no. Then he laughed, told the table he just worried about her migraines. Dana said, eyes on her plate, that she was fine. Really, she was just tired. At the door, Marcus's hand was clamped on her lower back, steering her out. She turned once. Her eyes were wide, wet, terrified. Her lips moved, but I couldn't read the words before they disappeared into the parking lot. I didn't sleep. At 7 a.m., I parked down the street from the apartment Dana shared with Marcus because I remembered he coached youth soccer on Saturdays and always left by 8. His car was still there at 9, 10, 11. At noon, he finally pulled out. I gave it 5 minutes and ran to the door. Dana opened it barely 6 inches, face bloodless. She pulled me inside, hands trembling, whispering that I had 15 minutes because he called during his drive to check in, and if she didn't pick up on the first ring, he'd know something was wrong. I told her we were leaving. Now. She started crying, saying she couldn't. He had her ID, her debit cards. He'd disabled her old phone remotely once already. He'd found her at her sister's within 3 hours the last time she tried. Then she pulled back her cardigan sleeve. Bruises ringed her wrist like a bracelet, yellow-green fading into fresh purple. I told her to leave the phone. I had everything else. We ran. In my car, she told me the rest. How he'd stopped working to be present for her, how he read her messages over her shoulder, how last night was the first time in 4 months she'd been able to text anyone unsupervised, typed lined under the table while he was mid-story. I drove straight to a domestic violence shelter 40 minutes away. They took her in before dark. By evening, Marcus was calling my phone, calm and reasonable, saying Dana was having an episode and needed her medication. Could I please just tell him where she was? I didn't answer. By midnight, he was outside my building, pounding on the door, insisting she'd hurt herself without him. I called the police. He was gone before they arrived. At the protective order hearing, he wore a gray suit and told the judge with real tears that Dana was unstable and he was only trying to keep her safe. The judge looked at the screenshots, the photos of Dana's wrist, and granted the order in under 2 minutes, 500 feet, or arrest. Dana has her own apartment now. New locks, new number, and a blue sweater. She says she's never giving back to anyone again.